you're in the lab. Lee here in the seat, man. You see this title too as well, man. We're talking about 8 new Mandela effects to blow your mind. 8 new Mandela effects for this Mandela Monday to make you question this reality we live in. With that said, some of these Mandela effects might not be new to you, but they will be new to somebody else, so please respect that. And on top of that, if you like this at any time, remember to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe so we can play with the algorithm, and leave me your comments down below about these and other Mandela effects you see in this world. Now, let's get this going. Number 8 today, we're talking about that great snack when you got home from school, you pop it in the microwave or your toaster oven. They come out lovely rolls of pizza, and I'm talking about Tostito pizza rolls. Yes, 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 yes. Tostitos pizza rolls. Let me throw this up here for you right now. How does that look to you? How does that spelling look to you? If you're from this reality and you always remember being spelt the way you see it on the screen, Totitos, well, you're correct. It's always been spelt that way. But in my reality and many other realities, Tostitos was always spelt with an S. Tostitos. Yes, you heard that correct. I'll put the S in front of the T, and that's how I remember it. Many of us remember it too as well. Now, some of us can say it's part of the brand coming off of Tostitos chips, which could have been part of this, but it's not that kind of spelling. I don't want people to think that's what I'm thinking. I always remember it being spelled Tostitos, not the way you see it here, not the way you see it being spelled, not the way Totitos. It blows my mind, but how do you remember it being spelled? Do you remember it being spelled without that S? Or do you always remember it being spelled with that S? Right, number 7 is going to be that great store we all shop to, got our freaking ices from, and I'm talking about Kmart. Yes, Kmart, the shopping store. Now, if you lived in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s, you remember the store Kmart. That's where you went to get your ices, and that's kind of what the legacy was before Walmart's became big. Now, take a look at this. Does Kmart look right to you? Well, if you're like me and many others, you notice that Kmart is missing the hyphen. Yes, the same hyphen that's missing out the Kit Kat bar. Kmart is missing the same hyphen out of it too as well. I always remember the hyphen being in there. I always remember that. I was looking this up and I can't even find it. I was even looking at a newspaper thing article and just saying K and then that space and mark looks so off. It's so weird. It's like they just widened it.
Right here? Ship my pants, you're kidding. You can ship your pants right here.
But how do you remember Kmart? Do you always remember Kmart the way it is now without that hyphen, knowing there is actually no many Kmarts left in this world? Or do you remember like I remember and many others remember it with the hyphen in Kmart? Number 6, that forbidden story, the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge. And this comes from my man Thrilling Bad Production. Yes, TBB. You know it is. Big shout out to you, man. Big shout out for you for also giving me a shout out too as well. Loved it, loved it. And I saw this and I had to just bring it over here and put my little twist to it too as well. And my mind, and I'm talking y'all about Adam and Eve. And technically Eve taking the fruit from the tree. We were always taught that Eve bit into the forbidden apple of the knowledge tree. Well, what if I told you, just like it told myself, that Eve never ate an apple? It was never an apple. Apple was never depicted in the Bible as you know it to the day, as well as it also says a serpent was the one that conjured into it, but it was never a serpent. It never depicted a serpent too as well. It blew my mind, especially the apple, the forbidden fruit. We were always taught, especially in church, that Eve took a bite from the apple of knowledge, the forbidden fruit. And well, it's never been that way. My whole life has now been a complete sham and a lie. But how do you remember this story? Do you always remember Eve biting the apple, taking it from the serpent? Or do you remember the way it has always been and been depicted? No apple, No serpent, just a fruit.
We're brothers, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored.
How about a high five? Yes, the Weighin Brothers, yes itself. Big shout out to Hazel Fever for this one. Actually not this one particular, but he did one about the name change of the Wayans. Yes, the Wayans used to be spelled with an O-N at the end, not an A-N. I remember it both ways for some reason, but as I was looking this up, as I was watching this video, I noticed that the Weighin Brothers, the show, is spelt different now too as well. But before I get to that one, as I was doing research on this, and the opening theme song at it, as we all just heard it, it now says, and I always thought it said, how about a high five? But now it says, give me a high five. Listen.
We're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Give me a high five.
All right, cut.
Now, it says, give me a high five. I always remember that being, how about a high five? But that's odd to me. Maybe that's my Mandela effect for that part of that one. But the one I'm talking about is the name of the Weighin Brothers show. Yes, I always remember the show being called Weighin Brothers. Well, it's never been Weighin Brothers. It's called Weighin Bros. Yes, you see it right there. Weighin Bros. It blew my mind because I was just boggled about this because I always remember it being called the Weighin Brothers show. That's how I remember it, not the Weighin Bros show, Weighin Brothers show. And it blows my mind that it's always been called the Weighin Bros. This is unbelievable to me. They've changed the Wayans itself all the way around to me, and I don't know what to think about this. But what do you remember? Do you remember the show always being called Weighin Bros the way it is now? Or do you remember it being called Weighin Brothers? And how about give me a high five, or how about a high five? Now, number 4 for this little part of the breaking news evidence, I'm doing a thought. I'm doing a thought about Sinbad and Shazam. Now, it's come across my airways many times the last couple of weeks about how we still remember Sinbad being a genie. Well, we're not the only one to. Check this out.
I got Sinbad genie pants. I got them 3 for $20.
This is a sketch from Saturday Night Live starring Bernie Mac, where Bernie Mac references Sinbad's genie pants. This is from April 5th, 2003. More proof that Shazam with Sinbad existed.
Why would SNL do a skit about Sinbad's genie pants if he was never a genie? Also, with that said, listen to this.
For those who said, hey, you saw Shazam when I was growing up, yeah, you did. It did exist. It took a lot of government intervention to get those videos out of people's homes and out of the video stores. I'm lucky because I'm ex-military, ex-special forces. So we were able to do a lot of mind control stuff to get those videotapes away from people. There's 3 tapes left. There are 3 Shazam videos still out there we did not find. And if we find you, we're going to kill you.
Now, I know we probably all heard that before. And I was sitting there listening to him, and just what he said, talking about he did make it. Talking about mind control. Talking about there's still a couple copies left. It means to me, and I was thinking about that they mind controlled his happy ass. And he does remember him doing this movie, and they don't want nobody to bring it up. They don't want him to bring it up because that's part of the history that they're trying to erase. It's part of the old world or something. I know it's kind of weird to think about that. But as well as, him saying that, mind control, MK Ultra, the whole thing with CERN, it blows my mind because the masses, and I mean millions of us remember this movie, but yet we can't find it. But yet there's still little bits of evidence suggesting and saying just proving that he made this movie and he was a genie in Sinbad. And you can blog it all you want to. We remember this, and it just blows my mind that even Sinbad himself knows it too. And I hope one day the truth really does come out on this.
Every day when you're walking down the street, everybody that you meet has an original.
That is right. Number 3 is going to be that great classic television cartoon show. Arthur taught us life lessons, taught us to laugh and play and have a good time. Well, we're going to be talking about the theme song and how I remember it and how a lot of other people remember this theme song. Now, in the beginning, you hear it going, but I remember the theme song being, hey, what a wonderful time of day, where we can all learn to laugh and play. And you heard me say it, laugh and play. Well, listen.
That's the place to start. Start and I sing, hey, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. Learn to work and play and get along with each other. Hey, what a wonderful kind of day. I sing, hey, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. Learn to work and play.
What a wonderful kind of day where we can learn to work and play. Work and play. We're talking about these were kids. They were learning to laugh and live and enjoy life and learn how to play and use their imaginations. You're now telling me that now they are learning to work and play. That is not how I remember it. That's not how a lot of other people remember it. I always remember, hey, it's a wonderful time of day, so we can learn to laugh and play. That is how I remember it. You learn to laugh and play. But how do you remember the theme song, if you do remember that part? Do you always remember it the way it's been now? You have to learn to work and play? Or do you remember it being like I remember it being? You gotta learn to laugh and play. Number 2, we are talking about the Tank Man. Yes, the Tank Man himself and our reality compared to this reality. Now, in this reality, the Tank Man never gets ran over by that tank. Never gets ran over by that tank. You see this man get on top of the tank, talks to the people in the tank, gets over it, jumps back in front, tells them to move and everything else. That's this reality. But just like many other realities, like my reality too as well, we remember the Tank Man getting ran over by that tank in our history. Yes, you heard me. I remember it, just like many of us remember it, him being ran over by that tank. But like you heard me say before, in this reality, that never happened. You see him climb up, he gets up, he goes around. He never gets ran over by that tank at all. But how do you remember that reality of the Tank Man? Do you always remember the Tank Man like I remember it and many others remember it as we watched it on television? Him being ran over by a tank? Or do you remember it like the way it is now in this time, day and age? Him never getting ran over by that tank.
And I thought my jokes were bad.
Give me one reason why I shouldn't have my boy here pull.
Why so serious? Yes, we are going to be talking about the Dark Knight. We're going to be talking about the Joker, and we're going to be talking about the great magic trick he pulls off with the pencil. You know, the Mandela Effect is an amazing magic trick by whoever is pulling this off, and we have to admit that there are messages within this magical trick. Well, within this magical trick and this number 1 Mandela Effect, we are talking about the Dark Knight, we're talking about the Joker and his disappearing pencil magic trick. Now, how do you remember that magic trick being played out? You remember it being happening, you see it in your head right now, and there's a phrase he says when it's all done and said, and is it, magic, or it's gone? Check it out.
Boy here pull your head off.
How about a magic trick? I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! It's gone.
That is right. You heard, it's gone. But in my reality, and many other realities, He never said, it's gone. He said, it's magic. That's exactly what it says. That's his magic trick. It's magic. And you can almost hear him saying magic, but he says, gone. That just blows my mind, man. The Mandela Effect is a magical trick. It is a magical joke on the masses that don't remember their own realities. But how do you remember that scene of the Joker magic trick? Do you always remember the Joker saying, it's magic? Or do you remember the way it always has been and always will be, apparently? It's gone. 8 new magical Mandela effects to blow your mind for this Mandela Monday. I hope you enjoyed each and every one of those. Leave me your comments and your thoughts about those and the others you have. Also remember to subscribe and smack that like button in the face so we can mess up this algorithm. Till then, y'all remember to keep your mind open, because those eyes will see every ounce of magic that's in front of you. Stay crazy.